DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, March 10th. I'm Tori, here with my girls. No, I'm not Tori. I'm just kidding. I'm Jeff, in for Tori. I'm here with my girls, Lindsay and Erica. How you guys feeling?
Hey, Jeff, long time no see.
I know, I got the call last minute and I dove right into the seat.
There you go.
Erica's got the face. She knows what I'm talking about. All right, let's get into this, guys. We got a lot to talk about because the fallout over Meghan and Harry's explosive interview with Oprah continues. So, Meghan might have cost Piers Morgan his job after he stormed off the set of Good Morning Britain yesterday. We talked about that. As reported, Piers quit the show after he left the set, but now we're learning that Meghan reportedly personally complained about Piers to the network, quote, out of concern for others dealing with their own mental health. So, Piers defended those comments, tweeting on Monday, "I said I don't believe Meghan Markle. I've had time to reflect on this opinion, and I still don't. If you did, okay, freedom of speech is a hill I'm happy to die on. I'm off to spend more time with my opinions." So, several stars are defending him and his right to voice his opinions, including Sharon Osbourne, who tweeted, "Piers, I am with you. I stand by you. People forget that you're paid for your opinion and that you're just speaking your truth." Others include CNN's Jake Tapper and Megyn Kelly, who are also defending Piers. So to help us put this all into perspective, we've got our very own royal expert, Stephanie Jones, here to discuss. Stephanie, take it away.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, let's start off with, should we start off with Piers and him quitting?
Sure.
Okay, so I think in this particular situation, Piers is literally subject to his own fault. You know, this is all down on him and that what he has put out there. For years, we've seen him slating Meghan and dragging her over the hot coals when she chose to start dating Harry and stop talking to as many people from the media. He seemed to think that he had all access, all areas, because she followed him when he said he liked suits. And then when she didn't communicate with him, he started this hate campaign, which we heard of for literally years. He was so bitter, and I think it's very interesting to me. Meghan has suffered literally abuse at the hands of the media for years, and she's finally taken the step to say, if you are in a toxic relationship or an environment that makes you feel like your life is particularly in jeopardy, I don't think she lied about that at all. Who would ever do that? Then, of course, you have every right to remove yourself from that situation. It's ironic that Piers literally had a taste of his own medicine for 24 hours, and he called Meghan out saying she's pathetic and that it's a lie, yet when he had a taste of his own medicine, he walked off his own set. Well, it's pathetic.
Speaking of taste of his own medicine, he brings up the First Amendment. How does that apply in the UK?
We don't have the amendments in the UK. And obviously, I believe, yes, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and he can say whatever he wants. Although we've heard this dragging of Meghan for literally years, it's not constructive. There's nothing kind to say about it, and all he had to say was, I don't relate to Meghan. I believe whatever he believes. But saying that a woman that literally was on the brink of suicide and is now coming out years later trying to tell her story that she's a liar is absolutely outrageous. What we all forget as well, ITV, the network in which his show was broadcast, has been having a year-long mental health campaign. The reason they are doing that is because February the 15th, 2020, Caroline Flack, one of the most successful female hosts in all of the UK, committed suicide. So how dare he then go ahead and say, this isn't true, I don't believe in this. So he deserves to leave. And he's done this to himself, and I've got no sympathy.
Steph, isn't Britain known for like this shocking TV, and some of their interviews are way different than American interviews and the way that they handle news stories, especially when you're an opinion show like Piers seems like he is. So don't you think that there should be some leeway for him to share his opinion?
Again, absolutely. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and Piers is hired exactly for that. But that comes with certain boundaries and rules and respect. You don't if someone's coming forward saying literally she was going to kill herself, she was having suicidal thoughts as a heavily pregnant woman, I think that's a voice that's screaming out for help. And as Erica mentioned on our show the other day, she had proof of receipts of all of those things. Piers is just, he sounds like a bitter white man. And I think what happens is the white man is up here. It doesn't matter whether you're in America or England or everywhere else, and everyone else is underneath, and they expect women to be quiet and shut up. And so good for Meghan for raising up her voice and saying, I will not be treated like that.
All right, well, speaking of Meghan Markle, she is really dividing people. Some are defending her while others think she's whiny and entitled. Just take a look at what Tucker Carlson said about her last night on Fox News.
What she's really saying is that despite her enormous wealth and fame, despite the fact she never has to cook her own dinner or drive her own car ever again as long as she lives, despite the fact that every time she heads to the gym, the journey is treated like the moon landing by an army of awestruck reporters, despite the fact that she's literally a duchess, she is, and this is the headline here, she's actually an oppressed victim.
So meantime, one of Meghan's Suits co-stars, Wendell Pierce, is walking back comments he made calling her interview insignificant, giving all the death and tragedy the world is dealing with, given all that. And on the other side, Beyonce has changed the homepage on her website to this picture with Meghan saying, "Thank you, Meghan, for your courage and leadership. We are all strengthened and inspired by you." So what do you think? Is Meghan polarizing? Why is she so polarizing, I should say, to other people?
Well, the first clip that you showed, he said, what is she complaining about? She never has to drive her car again. She never has to cook her own meals again. Sounds like being in prison, pretty much to me. So because she's literally given up her freedom to support her husband, her career, for that lifestyle, which she was fully fledged into, and she had every single honor of committing. And sadly, the reality of that was something that she didn't want to live with anymore, which she's made very, very clear. So I think people seem to think, okay, yes, if you've got money, there are a lot of things in life that make things easier. There's no denying that. But mental health is completely separate. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, it doesn't matter. It literally is what's going on within yourself, and everyone deserves the right to have help and have support around them, number one. And then the second thing, I think, again, with polarizing people, women, people of color, any of those spectrums, literally, I think we are trained from such a young age to see women in the media as beneath and below, and for you not to like them. It's really odd. If someone's got a voice, if someone's clever and intelligent, it's like we almost say, what's wrong with them? Or hate on them because we're jealous of them, because we've had this kind of weird brainwashing growing up. But you know what? We should be thinking, why do I feel like that? Why am I not aspiring to be more intelligent or educate myself more or learn about that different culture or what those people have gone through? Instead, we have these weird smear campaigns, and people are brainwashed by what they read in newspapers, like the ones that Piers Morgan came from in the first place.
You're talking about checking your implicit bias, right? And the reason why we have implicit bias is because we come from an entire generation, an entire history of racism, bigotry, and bias that is instilled in our society. Everyone keeps asking, did Meghan get Pierce fired? No, Meghan did not get Pierce fired. Pierce got Pierce fired. And 41,000 other people also wrote in complaining about the same thing that Meghan complained about. When we're talking about freedom of speech, that doesn't absolve you of consequences. He was just given the same medicine that he's been given out this entire time, but his was rooted in the hatred of someone who cut him off. His feelings were hurt. So it's not just racism, it's also misogyny. So Piers Morgan did a very good job of building his empire for years, tens of millions of dollars. It's not as though he's destitute, and now he has to live with the idea that this vitriol is coming back to him. I don't see what the problem is.
Lindsay, where do you stand on all this? Because we could go down a bunch of different avenues here. What's your overall thought of this?
I think Piers Morgan is an opinionated person, and he also works for a company, right? And so he wants to be like Joe Rogan and work for himself and sell his content to another network. Then he can say whatever he wants. But he's not in that position, and so he constantly gets fired or let go or quits from CNN and these other outlets. Well, guess what? You have a boss there, so you have to follow these rules. And so I think that as much as he's allowed to have an opinion, you know, he seems like a whining baby walking off set and then talking about this black woman that's going through all these experiences and feeling this. And I just want to know, is it just the UK tabloids and the press that are making these statements, or Steph, is it being from the UK, do people actually feel this hatred towards Meghan Markle overwhelmingly?
I think it's a mixture. I think obviously what people are reading is very influential, as we know. You know, the press can be very consuming. People aren't leaving their homes right now with COVID, and, you know, this is the information that they're getting given. But I hope that they question themselves and where that's coming from and look at the grander picture. I pray for that. I think what it is here is people hold the monarchy in the UK to such a high level. There was actually a study that said 40% of Britons sided with the monarchy and the Queen on this, and only 24% sided with Harry and Meghan. And that could be down to everything that they've been reading and seeing in the press that simply is very opinionated, untrue, and basically trying to keep everyone that's in line for the throne on a certain level and drag everyone else down.
Yeah, and I would say here in the U.S. it's pretty much the opposite of that. I would say everyone's on Harry and Meghan's side here and against the monarchy over there. No disrespect, Steph.
It's okay.
All right. Thank you so much for that perspective, Steph. We always appreciate it. Coming up on DBL, the original Real World cast is back decades later. What it's like reuniting after so many years. Tori chats with 2 OG cast members. And setting the jury in the Derek Kavanaugh trial in Minnesota. How easy or difficult, or Chauvin trial, how easy or difficult will it be to find impartial jurors? That's next.
Close.
welcome back to DBL. Big shout out to our coworkers tuning in from home during the pandemic. We miss you guys. We'll be together soon. All right, let's get back to it, guys. Jury selection continues today in the trial of Derek Chauvin. 3 jurors were selected yesterday in Minneapolis, 2 men and a woman of color. Both sides are struggling to find impartial jurors in the very high-profile case. Derek is accused of killing George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for more than 8 minutes during a police investigation. The video of George Floyd's death caused protests worldwide, bringing attention to Black Lives Matter movement and a call for police accountability and reform. So there's a lot riding on this trial. Do you think they'll be able to find impartial jurors and try this equally? I mean, how in the world has anybody in the United States not heard of this trial or affected in some way by it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be tough, but I think it's important to take this time that we're taking to start this trial intentionally, using the patience that we need to get the right jurors and to put the right charges on, because a lot of times what we saw in cases similar to this is that we overcharge the police officer or do something wrong in the beginning and then nothing happens. And so Black people are left in America feeling helpless because of something that was mishandled at the beginning. So I don't mind them taking the time to find the right jury and get it together for people that aren't affected. And I think that, you know, we have to look around at people that are understanding this trial. Maybe they heard of it, but they're not having a biased opinion. And I think that the courts need to do their job to make sure they're bringing those people in, the right people in.
I am really struggling with this because, you know, the idea that someone would know about this case and not have formulated an opinion just organically is a little jarring to me, but then also the idea of someone never having heard of this case is also equally as jarring to me.
Like, are you prepared to be a juror at all?
So I'm wondering what this pool of jurors is really consisting of. I mean, it's a little scary to really think about it. Also, was it a tactic by the defense to opt for a jury trial over a bench trial? Because to me, I would think that they would opt for a bench trial. Was that an option? Because, I mean, is impartiality going to be the crux of this case?
Yes. I mean, I would think so. I think it's going to be impossible to find a jury that isn't biased in one way or the other. That's
a lot
just
of times,
my opinion.
I mean, you saw the movie. I don't know if you ever saw the movie 12 Jurors, but if people actually are swearing to do their job, right, and going by the actual charges and looking at what those charges mean and then applying it to Derek Chauvin, it's like, okay, well, you have to look at that. And outside of your opinion that you might formulate just by being a Black or white person in this country, you still have to look at the charges and say, do they apply here? Is this person guilty or not guilty of that charge? How it's defined by a book.
But I think you're thinking logically.
Right.
And I would like everyone to think logically, but look at where we are on social media. People are picking this side or that side. There is no in between, like you just said. I really wish there was, just for the world's sake, not just this case's sake.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but I think that, you know, we have to have this trial move forward, and we can't have mistrials and let it go, you know, become into a mockery because of how they're mishandling this part of the case.
Absolutely. All right, guys, coming up on DBL, what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real? That sound familiar? Tori catches up with 2 original Real World cast members next. Welcome back to DBL. Being on Big Brother, I know a thing or two about reality shows, but also as a viewer who watched the original season of The Real World. Earlier, Tori caught up with Julie Gentry and Andre Comau about their Real World reunion almost 30 years later. That's today's Chatting with the Stars.
Julie and Andre, welcome to DBL. 7 strangers picked to live in a house. Sorry, I just love it. The Real World changed the course of television history and the world of reality TV. Why do you think MTV specifically picked you to be part of this amazing social experiment? Julie, you go first.
I think they were terrified of what I would do to myself if I was left to my own devices. And at 19, I did not know what I was doing at that age, and I really was looking for, to have some other experiences and to, get out of the South for a minute. And I think they knew that I was anxious for these kinds of opportunities, and so I was an easy one to cast for that.
You were like done and done. Andre, why do you think they picked you?
Because I'm a crazy character. I think that we're all very opinionated, and we all come from different walks of life and have something to say, something different to bring to the table.
I think so too. Andre, I want to ask you this. I don't know if some of our viewers might not know this because reality TV has taken over the world. Y'all were the very first, in my opinion. When did you realize, Andre, this show was like a big deal?
I guess when we saw the first episode, it all became clear that this was going to be a special event.
Andre. The door opened and I saw 5 other people, nothing like me or most of the people that I hang out with.
But it wasn't until they started airing the episodes back to back that we realized that this was going to have an impact on our generation.
Julie, what's one thing you regret doing while the cameras were rolling?
There was an episode with my mom that really hurt her feelings.
Really?
When she came.
Just give me a hug. Don't cry. I won't. It's gonna be okay.
Because, it is one of those things when you sign up for this, and I'm comfortable putting myself in a goofy position and making a mistake. Like, I'm good with that. But it's another thing to bring your family into.
Totally. Andre, what was it like reuniting with the entire cast 30 years later? I mean, what was that? Were you nervous?
Super excited to see everybody. We've really kept in touch over the years.
That's
so
good.
It's because all of us have seen each other at certain times over the years. But it was the first time that we were all together since the early 90s.
It's just unrealistic to think that something that we did in the past that was filmed was not going to be brought up again.
Wow. It's like you guys were all a social experiment, all out on each other, and you only have that group of 7. You only have been through that story, the 7 of you. That's it in the whole wide world that can understand that experience. Is that right, Julie?
Absolutely. And I think we really rely on each other a lot, in that way. When we went in and did that, we had to trust each other so much. And it really did help us form a strong bond that has lasted. And I guess it gave us a certain comfort level coming back together.
Yeah.
That part is really special that it's hard to really explain to people.
Yeah, that camaraderie, that's like very unique to you guys. Well, reality TV shows have changed, but I have to say, they're all fake, they're all scripted, except for you 7. I'm so honored to talk to you. Honestly, you were the first and you really made an impact in terms of pop culture. Julie and Andre, thank you so much for joining us. But DBL Nation, you can stream The Real World Homecoming, New York on Paramount Plus. Get some popcorn and watch a real reality show. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. Home insurance premiums have gone up over the past few years. So what can you do to lower yours and save money? We're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck, presented by The Hartford. First, ask for your discounts. If you have a home alarm or special doorbells, anything that increases your security, you could qualify for a discount. Second, bundle, period. Buy your home and auto policies from the same insurer. Buying two or more will likely lower your premium. And third, increase your credit score. The higher your score, the more you save. When it comes to your money, the Hartford Financial is here to help. Whether it's home, life, or business insurance, the Buck has got your back. Call 1-800-684-6085 or visit thehartford.com to learn more. I'm all about saving some money, guys.
Yeah, I'm a resident cheapskate. Colin and I actually are in the process of closing on a house in July, and so
Congratulations.
we're building, and so I need to save every dime. So if it's like home insurance, anything, yes, I've been negotiating with people down to the T.
Welcome to some grown-up problems.
I know.
Because we just purchased last year, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I want to call my mom and dad.
Oh, I know. I'm like, I'm really an adult now. It's like, I don't know when it clicks when you become an adult, but I'm like, I guess I'm an adult now.
This is a big one.
This is the time where you have some really open conversations with your friends who have been through it before, because I'll tell you, our friends definitely, I mean, my husband's very smart about things like this, but it's like, save us some time, and we don't have to touch every stove to know that it's hot.
Amen. I'm down to not touch any stoves.
See ya. What happened?